He worked informants, and he was told that a mosque here was
in Austin.
No, in the United States, I'm not going to get specific, was radicalizing, specifically training and preparing people to go do terrorism. So he went to that mosque and confronted them. He is being charged with a hate crime.
Wow.
So it's happening here, just like it
So talking to a group of a known religion that's pushing worldwide death, the attacks on Christians have doubled. The UN admits that.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands killed last year alone. And you go and say, hey, I hear this is going on, and then you get charged with a hate crime for your speech.
Yeah. And this labeling thing that we're doing, too, where we're calling it a hate crime or workplace violence, it's all the same damn thing.
Oh, I wonder if Obama will call the Orlando shooting workplace violence like he did San Bernardino.
Or even if he calls it a hate crime, because it was against gays. It's just anything but...
He has now. It's terrorism, and Obama's calling it a hate crime.
It's the same thing, and he has to start... I don't care if you call it workplace violence, it's still terrorism. I don't care...
Let me ask you this when we come back from break, Tim Kennedy, and I want you to think about this. This is a short break. It's a 60-second break. I want to ask you this question when we rejoin some stations. What are they going to do when it's not 12 or 14 or 15 attacks, but 100, 200, 300? Because we know the metrics, the numbers, it's building towards that. What are they going to do? How are they going to spin that one? I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Stay with us. Look, folks, you can say what you want about the United States Mideast policy. You can say what you want about any of this. There's only one Stone Age region of the world that's actually has the power to launch attacks in other nations, and that's the Middle East. And women are property there. It is literal hell on earth. The few areas that weren't that radical have been invaded, and our government's backing it. Anderson Cooper from the CIA, formerly, would sit there and praise the Arab Spring, kicking out our allies where people can live in peace and, putting in the Muslim Brotherhood that's al-Qaeda light. And so our own military the last 4 years has told Obama we're not going to back ISIS and al-Qaeda. I don't care if he changed the name in Syria. So instead, Saudi Arabia has turned to proxy armies flooding the West. And I believe it's clear the West has done this, that criminals in our own governments, NATO and others, allied with Saudi Arabia, have intentionally brought these people in, they've advertised, and are actually using it as a way to threaten political decapitation in the West. Because even if these are ham-fisted operators, if you activate, let's say conservatively in Europe, 100,000 jihadis, and I think out of 5 million, 80% military age men, I think that's a very conservative number. Tim Kennedy's an expert, correct me if I'm wrong, let's just say 100,000. That would be a crippling effect, especially in this culture of just, they're talking about a civil emergency in Florida right now. The governor wants one, over 50-something dead. Imagine 10 attacks in your town a week because they got the people. I mean, I go to the Domain up here in North Austin. It looks like I'm in Islamabad. I go to Barton Creek. There's just women wearing full burqas. And I'm not kidding. I actually had an anxiety attack about a month ago. My daughter's there because they were looking at us weird. And there are all these men laughing at me. And I turn a corner, there's more. And I'm like, it's just like, it's so alien, folks, to have women as prisoners. But it's trendy in the liberal sites. Oh, here's how you wear a hijab and how you do it. I mean, it's freaking me out. I don't like it. It's clearly a plan to destabilize everything. How do we expose that? That's the question. And then I was asking you a question, too, before the break. Tim Kennedy, I forget what it was. What was it? It was some big question about why are they doing it? How big is it going to get? Do you remember?
Yeah. The answer is it's going to continue to grow until we as a people grab our balls and do something about it. We can't be politically correct. We can't demonstrate tolerance. We are at war for our existence right now. When you can walk down the street and there's a burkini, which is like a swimsuit that covers somebody from head to toe, being sold in downtown Austin so you can go onto the river and enjoy your beautiful Austin weather covered in black garments, we're in a fight for our life. And so what do we need to do? We as a people need to get strong and appreciate that there's now an implied responsibility for us we got to be activated. We have to get turned on. We have to wake up. We have to start training. If somebody's going to walk in and has the ability and the capability to start mowing down 110 people, is that how many people he shot total? 50 some odd dead, 60 now wounded. If there's one person like me there, one person like our friend Shane, one person like my partner Blank from Sheepdog, it would have changed. It takes one person to change.
And tell folks about Sheepdog Response. It's not that it needs to be plugged. You have waiting lists to get involved in it. But we were talking about this Friday when you were here about getting back to us being men, being prepared, being involved. That's the answer. So when somebody attacks a nightclub or whatever it is, folks are shooting back. That's the answer, is to have a security plan, not to run up a white flag to these people like the left is doing, saying right now, blame the Second Amendment. That's, to me, what is so incredibly outrageous.
It's idiotic and moronic. When you look, I don't know how many gunfights I've been in, but I will tell you that I have watched Al-Qaeda, I've watched Taliban, I've watched ISIS walk into villages, mowing everybody down effortlessly because there's not one person that would stand up to them. But the moment that one person, it takes one person, shows resistance and shoots back, it changes the chemistry of everything.
Well, look at Benghazi. What was it? At least over 500 groups, 7 or 8 waves.
500 dudes.
Yeah. Against how many, 10?
Yeah, 10 shooters. 10. It took 10 guys to stop up to 500 terrorists, right? So we have one shooter in Orlando, 2 shooters in San Bernardino. What was it, 8 in Paris? It's not that many. It just takes 1 or 2 dudes with the training and the prepared mind.
Obviously, the problem is Islam. It's not our Second Amendment. How obvious is that?
It's our Second Amendment that is going to save us. It's Islam that's trying to kill us.
Now, again, I go back to this then. What is the thinking in the military? What is the thinking, again, of good people that want to protect this nation, who I know, who are great folks, to then see Obama saying this isn't Islam, we need to let more people in. He doesn't let the Christians in, though. Even though they're 20% and are trying to get out of Syria, it's less than 1% he lets in. It's 0.7. Clearly, they're out to get Christians. What is the thinking? I mean, because I get we're supposed to, you know, people in the military like yourself follow orders of the president, but what happens when those orders violate common sense, the Constitution, and just basic humanity?
There's definitely degrees of frustration and trying to figure out the best solution. Okay, so we know what our problem is, right? When we say, oh, we got to just like the FBI in San Bernardino, we know that these guys are bad, and we figure out a way to maybe do something about it, but they just couldn't figure out a solution. It's kind of the same with the military right now, where, you know, they're saying, doesn't matter what the name is of the group in Syria, we're not going to support them. You can call them ISIL, you can call them ISIS, you can call them Al-Qaeda, you can call them whatever the hell you want. We're still not going to support them. But here, we're trying to, you know, we're frustrated. The military is frustrated. We're trying to find a solution that means that we can still keep our oath, that we can do the right thing, that we can follow orders, because that's what we're supposed to do. But most importantly, we can stay true to our morals, our integrity, and our ethics, and protect justice and freedom. But it is hard right now.
Let me ask you this question, and this was the question before the break, the key one that ties us all together. What is the metric? I mean, how many, from the statistics we know, I mean, many polls, it's usually about 25% in Europe and here, say they sympathize with suicide bombers. That's just Muslims polled across the board. What are the numbers, or just dead reckoning, a low estimate, how bad are these sleeper cell attacks going to get? Because as you said, it's just as they turn up the heat, as ISIS orders the attacks to take place, it happens. The media tries to cover it up. How many attacks will it take until the government that has brought these people in Europe or here is held accountable? Because here's the thing, Obama, you're not blaming the Second Amendment that our forebears fought for, everybody else fought for, and the First Amendment, and our free open culture that you come in and piss all over. You're not going to sit there and blame what happened in Florida on us. Do you understand, you son of a bitch? And I don't usually talk like that, but it's clear there's about to be a bunch more attacks. And I'm not going to sit here and take the blame for it, because the Daily Beast and Media Matters says so. You're declaring war on this country with a bunch of jihadis you brought in. You did it, you son of a bitch. I'm sorry, but that's what it comes down to. And the games are over. I'm not going to sit here and have my family and this country scapegoated because you're a slime ball that hates this country and is allied with a bunch of people wearing nightgowns. Sorry, go ahead.
You said it all. You did. We have to start fighting back.
We're going to go to Rob Dew after the break, and then Biggs is getting in position there at the nightclub. Other angles to this. I rarely get this mad, folks. I mean, I'm really getting tired of this. It's a nightmare. It's like logic has been killed, Tim. They have allowed these people in. They're attacking us, and then the news blames us.
You asked, how bad is it going to get? It's going to get way, way worse. It is statistically proven, as Islam increases percentage-wise in the nation, as does the terrorist attacks. So we're 1-2% over the past decade. Now we're at 3 to 4%, and we are on trend. When we reach the 8 to 9 that we should be at the end of next year, we'll pretty much be tripling the number of terrorist attacks that we had this year. So we had 8 this year.
That they couldn't sweep under the rug.
Yeah, that we absolutely, without an unequivocal doubt, conclusively know that we can call these terrorist attacks regardless of what.
So what happens by next year? What's the metric?
50 big ones.
And then next?
500.
Jeez. And the thing is, they laughed 2 years ago and say, we're going to flood you with migrants. And Merkel goes, ISIS said they were going to flood Europe. I mean, the thing is, they tell us what they're going to do.
They do it. And they do it.
And our president opens the door. Tim Kennedy's our guest. CheapDogResponse.com. I'm Alex Jones. This is the Info War. Our reporters from Europe straight ahead. Tim Kennedy's our guest in studio. Soldier 15-year Special Forces in the most elite units out there that deal with anti-terrorism. Bet he's a busy guy these days. We appreciate him popping in for the Info War. This is cut and dry for me, folks. This is a false flag attack. It's real jihadis. Islam is real. It is attacking. Orthodox Islam is what we're seeing here. Sure, it's the new dominant Islam. It's the old Islam. It's back. And Tim's right. It's not just radical Islam. That is what is dominating Islam today. And it says it's going to kill everybody that doesn't convert. And it's bizarre. It's crazy to see the Second Amendment all over the news, from CNN to even Fox, blaming the Second Amendment. We see all these training manuals and Homeland Security saying the main threat is veterans and gun owners, when there's no metrics of terrorism from those groups. That's who Homeland Security is geared up against. I think political correctness is bit off more than it can chew, trying to make this alliance with Islam. And the low-level folks that want to grovel to it and kiss its butt, they're going to be absolutely attacked because Islam attacks weak targets. I mean, it's really clear that these jihadis really are cowards. And Tim, personally, he doesn't want to say the numbers, but has killed hundreds of them himself. Okay, and he can attest to that. And it's very frustrating to me, who doesn't claim that, I'm the toughest guy in the world. But I've never backed down from a fight if somebody wants to have one. But I liken it to the time I saw this lady, I've told the story 100 times, choking to death in a La Madeleine restaurant. My son was like a year old. I'd gone to the bathroom. My wife was out there. I come out like 2 minutes later. Everybody's saying, call 911 like parrots. Like 50 people around this table. This woman's turning blue on the table. She's dying. I was on a swim team. I was taught by the fire department basic Heimlich maneuver. And I did a Heimlich, and she coughed out a big thing of food, and she lived. And they thought that was so weird. I mean, like 50 people, and they were like, no, we've called 911. She'd be dead in 4 minutes. So I just see America dying on the floor here, and they're trying to shove more potatoes down our throat to make us choke. We're going to go to our reporter. Tim Kennedy's going to ride shotgun the rest of the hour. This is just so crazy. Tim, at the top, I mean, I rarely use French and get in the president's face, but clearly they hate this country so much they're doing this because it's so dangerous for Obama and the Democrats and others to bring in the Islamicists, let them attack, see the attacks escalating, and then think they're going to spin it and blame the Second Amendment. No, you're not going to do it. Tim Kennedy.
I thought it was criminal in Benghazi when we left our guys there to die, right? Radical terrorists.
Because the religion of peace was coming.
Yeah, religion of peace, but a bunch of radicalized terrorists, Muslims, were coming to kill our ambassador and their people. That was really, really far away. That's in Benghazi. We're now talking about San Bernardino on the West Coast and Orlando on the East Coast. This is not on the other side of the world. This is here, in our backyard, at our pool party. They're murdering us, and they're murdering our weak. They're going to unarmed women, children, places that you're not allowed to have guns, bars, gay nightclubs. And what's infuriating is that not only are they then spinning it and blaming, this guy had easy access to a gun. Yeah, but he was in a gun-free zone.
And he got a license.
He was in a gun-free zone, and the only thing that stopped him were other men with guns. Now, I see all these people now with the gay pride flags on their Facebook pages. It doesn't matter what the group was. It doesn't matter if they're gay. They were. It's horrific that they were targeted. They were Americans. Those were Americans killed on American soil.
By a coward.
By a coward. By a terrorist on our soil in an act of war. We are at war with terrorism, and we have been for 15 years.
Well, if I was at war with the government, and this is hypothetical, I'm not thinking this before they put me in a file, Obama does, I would go after who I thought did it. Like, I would go after soldiers. I would go after politicians. I would go after hard targets because that's what a man does.
Yeah.
I would attack the fighters.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't attack the women and children.
Not them.